Hello, friends. Matt Murphy here. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, underway for another hour. It is officially the weekend. At least that's what we call it, right after 5 o'clock on Supertalk 99.7 WTN on these Fridays. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Whatever time you're able to give us, we're thankful. Jackson Williams is behind the glass. He controls everything that comes out of our speakers, makes it sound as good as humanly possible, and I appreciate the good work that he does. Oh, it's not often. It's few and far between, that good work, but we appreciate it when it comes along. Now, Ken Weaver, great work twice an hour, and then on the traffic thing, I mean, he does fine work back there in News Closet B, and we appreciate him as well, and we appreciate all of you. I'll introduce Jay St. Clair, who's normally here on 4 o'clock on FriJay. FriJay delayed because of Mayor Freddie O'Connell's presence in the last hour of the show. Hope you enjoyed that interview, and if you missed any of the interview, you can find it. I'm assuming we're going to podcast that?
Yeah, we'll podcast.
I'll put that up and running. Maybe put a little, isolate that and make a little YouTube deal on its own.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Put some graphics or whatever over there. You know, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
I think that would be nice. I also think it's nice that all of you weekend warriors are out there and you make our weekend special and possible. We like to remind you of this on Fridays at 5 o'clock. We appreciate you so much. You firefighters, police officers, doctors, nurses, EMTs, those of you that work the weekends in the restaurants, in the convenience stores, truck drivers, whatever you're doing. If you're working on the weekend, you warriors, thank you. Because we have a couple of days off. That doesn't mean that we don't recognize you that keep it going during the weekend, that make our weekends so enjoyable. So we say thank you to all of you. Without further ado, ladies and germs, get your legal questions in here. It's time for FriJay. Yeah, it's FriJay. Supertalk 99.7 WTN. I want to thank my good friend, my gambling buddy, my legal correspondent, and my legal advisor, Jay St. Clair, for agreeing to be delayed for an hour so that we could sit down with Mayor Freddie O'Connell. And I know that 5 o'clock on Fridays is Martini Hour, and so I know we're encroaching on that. So, Jay, a special thank you. How are you? Hey,
cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, I love it. Jay, I botched the question, but I want to ask it again. How you doing?
Okay.
How you doing?
You know, if I was any better, I'd be my dog.
Miss Olivia. How's she doing?
She's doing great. She's so healthy and happy and loving life.
Jay, I got to tell you, and I know that we're here to talk the law, and if anybody has any legal questions, get them in here. I know it's a different time, but and we have a compressed amount of time this time around because we got nincompoops in the news coming up at 5:35. But, Jay, let me tell you, it's like the racing gods wanted me to be rooting for Denny. And I said it after. Look, I said it after, and I wasn't even I'm well on record that I love rooting against Denny Hamlin and, to heck with Denny Hamlin. But my goodness gracious, the way that thing ended, I felt, you're not a human being if you don't feel bad for the guy.
No, and there's so many aspects to it. And did you see what Kyle Larson's code words were for 2 tires and 4 tires? They have to hide all this stuff now because everybody's listening.
Uh-huh.
I don't know the full story on this, but I think I do. Did you see anything?
I did not.
So he's coming in, and they're talking. He's talking to his crew chief. Well, is it going to be 2 or 4? Well, they don't say that anymore. And Cliff, just asked you, so what do you think? He said, well, I don't know. Do we want some money or do we want some stewards? I think I'm going to take some money. It's okay. We'll get you money.
Money?
So money was 2 tires.
Uh-huh.
Stewart was 4 tires.
Uh-huh.
Now, why would they use those words? Well, Stewart has to be Tony Stewart.
That's what I would think.
So do you know any race car driver whose last name is Money?
I don't.
Young Money. I guarantee you what that is. Because I don't know if you saw his speech at the end.
Uh-huh.
And he said, he's saying, I'm getting a little bit older. I think instead of my nickname being Young Money, it now needs to be middle-aged.
Middle-aged Money. That's pretty funny. And for those that don't know, his nickname is Young Money.
I'll guarantee you that was, they have to change him every week, right? So,
right.
And Money was 2 tires, and Stewart was 4. And when Danny says no, 4 was the way to go, and I've heard a lot of discussion about all They just didn't expect that many people to take 2 tires. But, I mean, my word, he was 40 seconds away, man.
Uh,
40 seconds away from being a NASCAR champion.
well, and you can't. I mean, it's not like what happened. I mean, it was a driver that was in the championship run in the finals, right? It was a Hendricks driver. It was why can't I think of his name? Byron.
Yeah.
The 24 car is the one whose tire exploded. So I mean, he was pushing. He was in second or third place, pushing as hard as he could.
Front. But I mean, this is the end of the
3 laps. 3 laps.
Mean, well, it's the end of saying, okay, winner take all the last race. That's going away. It'll never come back because it's just not right for the sport.
What do you think they'll do?
I've not followed it real closely. I do not think they'll go back to the original season-long point thing, although it's interesting because, there's been a lot of talk about it this year. And so people keep up with it as if it were still the old original system, season-long point system.
Uh-huh.
If they had been under the old season-long point system, who do you think would have been the champion?
Well, either Denny or Kyle.
Kyle Larson.
Well, there you go.
Denny would have been like 7th or 8th.
Oh, really? Funny how things work out, huh?
Yeah, it is. But I think what they'll do is it may be a little bit more like the chase, was where you get, they're talking about whether it's going to be 3, 3, and 4, cut it down to 16, then you have 3 races, cut it down to 12, 3 races, cut it down to 8, and then the last 4 races together will determine the champion.
What do you think about that, just on first blush?
I'd be fine with just the old system, frankly, because I'm
too.
old school, and that's what I grew up with, and all this other stuff feels a little gimmicky to me. But they got to do away with this deal about it being just a one-shot thing. I mean, I get it, Super Bowl's that way, but that season's 16 long. I mean, it's more like baseball.
Well,
where it's best of 7.
Well, and the fact of the matter is that some drivers are better on some tracks than are on other tracks. And so you can't, it's difficult for me to tell you that, if you pick this racetrack as the final race and it's a winner take all, that doesn't give you know what I mean? It's just.
No, it does.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. Sure. And that's why, and I think, in the sport is built on variety and racing a lot of different racetracks. And, maybe that's why in the Final Four they ought to have 4 very different tracks, a road course, a super speedway, and then a couple of, then maybe a Phoenix, 1 mile track, and then a 1.5 mile track.
I like it.
But it doesn't need to be one. It doesn't need to come down. Everybody goes into the last race even.
Well, it's funny because memory's a strange thing. I heard the great Rush Limbaugh say one time that nostalgia is a form of depression. I've always remembered that. It's an interesting way of saying, I don't think it is necessarily. I think it can be.
I remember when Tennessee beat Alabama 8 years in a row. There's a lot of depression in that.
There's a lot of depression in that statement. I'll leave it be because I don't want to. I don't want to poke the bear. No, wait, that's a pun. I didn't mean to do that.
Well, the bear was gone when that happened.
That's true. That's true. But, when people talk about how much better it was back in the day, and I get it. When I first started watching racing, right, it was that way, that it was a season-long championship. That's where Jeff Gordon, my driver back in the day, won most of his championships. But they want to talk about competition. You and I have talked about this on the golf course. That you go back and listen to some of those races. Sometimes SiriusXM played old races from the 80s.
Yeah, there's 3 cars on the lead lap.
There's 3 cars on the lead lap. It's like, what are y'all talking about competition? Give me a break. Jay, before we go to a break, speaking of, which we have to do, question for Jay, 1221, first one of the day. You ready?
Yep.
I'm thinking about suing Matt Murphy over his interview with the mayor. I've got $140. Does it matter what kind of crayon I use?
No, you can use any crayon. Up until last week, I would have suggested orange, but Ken Weaver might now say it ought to be Oklahoma red.
I don't know what shade of red that is that they use out in Soonerland. It's not the Bammer red. And it's
crimson
not,
and cream.
Ken says it's crimson and cream, Jay.
Not crimson and clover.
No, sir. No, sir.
Crimson and cream.
Mm.
Well, that's great. I hope you had fun, Ken. I don't know if that's the first time at Neyland, but
Brother Jay,
the blackout deal was just awesome.
I loved it, and I'm ready to go back. I mean, I loved that experience. I've never been to a football game with 102,000 people, all screaming against me.
Yeah.
And it was something. And I can't get that eerie Rocky Top song out of my head.
Oh, yeah. I bet they played Spooky Rocky Top more than once.
Oh, it was great.
Well, and isn't it fascinating? We mentioned this right after the game, Jay. Isn't it fascinating, Ken, how quiet that 102,000 people can get toward the end?
Well, we didn't allow for that because we kept screwing up.
Well, that's true. That's just a joke that I do specifically for Jackson Williams because he gives me the ugly face every time. Oh, yeah, I know I'm number one, buddy. All right, Jay, we'll get to some real questions coming up in just a moment. An abbreviated FriJay edition. It's 18 minutes, almost 19 minutes after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
As long as the Obamacare tax subsidies were extended for at least a year. We'll tell you about that at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There you go. Thank you, Ken Weaver. All right. Phone lines are wide open for Jay St. Clair right now. Nobody on the phone. So if you've got a question for Jay, if you've ever thought about asking a legal mind of this caliber a question about the law, now's your opportunity. 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. Get them in here, and we'll get to your questions on the Super Text line as well. Jay, Jackson brought something up to me, and I don't think I've ever asked you this. We've got we call it nincompoops in the news. It's our fun stories.
Yeah, right.
You've been practicing law for a long time. Do you, and I'm putting you on the spot, but off the top of your head, what's the weird, do you have a weird case that you talk about or something that went down in your life in the legal profession that comes to mind when I talk to you about nincompoops? Maybe not.
You're talking about my.
I'm just talking about, practice. I mean, is there anything, and maybe it isn't. I mean, because I know you represent companies, and when we talk about your past, obviously the Ledbetter case comes up, and I'm so sorry y'all lost that case.
No, I can't think of, when I think of nincompoops, I think about somebody doing really something stupid or crazy.
Yeah.
And, I don't see those, right, because they don't get to my level.
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
Right.
I can tell you about I think the greatest moment I had in the courtroom.
Okay.
My only true Perry Mason moment, and this was, it was really good. It was a case where a lady was suing, claiming the company lied to her about relocating their company from Birmingham to New Orleans, that they defrauded her.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what she was suing about. And she was pretty high in the company. And I thought about, how do I want to do this? And so I had to set a trap, which, I don't get a chance to do very often.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew she was involved in planning the move. I knew that. So she knew it was coming. It was no surprise to her. And she got up and went to testify, and she cried about, oh, God, it was awful. I didn't know what was going on. And I said, well, ma'am, so you're sitting in this meeting, and they announced that they're moving to New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
Yes, they did. It broke my heart. And I said, well, the first thing you did when you heard that, is you went out of that meeting, marched right down to the hall to the CEO of the company, Mr. Watts, burst into his office, said, what do you mean we're moving to New Orleans? Why did you do that? That's the first thing you did, isn't it? No, I didn't do that. That's right. You didn't. Because that came as no surprise to you at all. You had known that for months, hadn't you? Yeah.
Did she say yes?
Yes. Well, you had to. That was my only Perry Mason moment, right? Where, Perry Mason at the end of it, he gets a witness on the witness stand who breaks down and confesses.
That's right.
And so I thought about this a long time and set this trap up. Yeah, well, I guess you call it trap. But so you reverse it, right? So, well,
Right.
wait a minute. If this really was a surprise, here's what you would have done.
Right.
That was the genius of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can be a little dramatic about it. And buddy, I put some butter on the toast. And the first thing you did was went charging down that hall, went in his office, and said, "How dare you do this to me
I
and
love
my
it.
family?"
And you set it up because she's predispositioned to say, no, that's not what I did.
No, I didn't do it because I knew she would deny that. No, I didn't do that. No, you didn't, did you?
Oh, wow.
And then you lower your voice.
Right.
No, you didn't.
You give a little, hey, Jay, when you did that, did you give a little peeky peek to the jury?
Yeah.
A little peeky peek?
Yeah.
Now, I don't like that. I've had some lawyers that looked at the jury. No, you don't do that. You finish your business,
Uh-huh.
and then when you're walking back to counsel table, you may glance over there.
Yeah.
But no smile, no
Right.
smirk, no.
Right.
They don't like that.
Right. Well, I love it. I absolutely love it. Let's get to real quick to Julia, who is on with FriJay. Julia, what do you got?
Oh, it's not quick, but I'll make it quick.
Uh-oh.
FriJay, you're not going to believe this. I went into workman's comp court pro se, and I won against an
Ow.
insurance company.
Please tell me you took a crayon with you.
I didn't take a crayon with me. I took facts and bigger coyotes than their side even dreamed of having.
I did not expect you to talk dirty during this call.
I did. I told you I'd make it quick, so I got to the point. It can be done. I used AI for all of my briefs and my motions and everything.
Julia, thank you for calling, because it is possible for people to represent themselves. Sometimes people are, they're hesitant to do that, and there's sometimes when you just have to have a lawyer. But some things like workers' comp you can do yourself, particularly if you listen to a really smart lawyer on the radio.
That's true.
And so thank you for calling in and telling us that and encourage. And I've heard from several people, because I'll say it. I mean, it is $140 to file it in general sessions. I don't know what workers' comp is. You probably didn't have to file anything. They filed it. You probably didn't have to pay a filing fee. But that's great, Julia. Tell me, did you get a Perry Mason moment?
Well, we'll never know. We lost Julia, Jay.
Okay.
We'll never know. Well, maybe she'll call us back next week.
I'm going to just imagine she had a Perry Mason moment, too.
Well, if she's talking about her cojones, she must have.
My word, Matt.
Jay, she said, I didn't say it.
I was shocked. I'm over here blushing.
Jay, I love it. Thank you for extending us a little grace and courtesy at the 5 o'clock hour. Enjoy your Friday. Pet Miss Olivia, and I cannot wait for a couple of weekends from now for our real estate development seminar.
No, I'm looking forward to it. You'll take care of the real estate appointment.
Oh, yeah. I've got those appointments taken care of.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you, bro.
All right, we'll see you soon. 32 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, I have failed the audience. I did not ask Jay about the pardons. I'll tell you why, because we've talked about the presidential pardon power in the past, and that presidential pardon power is obviously pretty sacrosanct. It's constitutional in its nature. But I'm as frustrated as you about Donald Trump's decision. And ultimately, the buck stops with the president of the United States. Curious your thoughts, 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. If you have any thoughts about the pardons, Cassida and Catherine, I wasn't around back then. But my level of research indicates to me that they were full of themselves. I've been told that staffers understood to steer clear of Cade Catherine because of the manner in which he did his business in the Capitol. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, I guess, is the Henry Kissinger quote. I might be mangling it. But yeah, it just smacks of homerism or teamism. But the law doesn't operate in that fashion. The law should be the law, right? Now, the fall from grace, it's my understanding, and once again, I don't pretend to be any sort of expert on this subject because it was before me. But it was my understanding that all of this started with a text scandal involving the House Speaker, Glenn Cassida, exchanging sexist/racist/sexually explicit text messages about women with Cade Cothran. And this happened several years. Y'all hear that rain, by the way? Raining in downtown Nashville. Be on the alert if you're on the way home or on the way here. By the way, Sean Farish, going to be late because of I-24. The scandal apparently started back in 2016, but it was discovered in 2019. The messages included sexually explicit language about women within the office. At least one group text contained what was considered to be racially charged language. In one exchange, Cassida and Cothran joked about the ages of women. Apparently, that it was a big deal that they only needed to be 18 for these guys. So it was unseemly. And when it became public, while the texts were exchanged in 2016, it came to light in news reports in May of 2019. Cassida initially denied it, but eventually he admitted it, and it led to his resignation. Did he resign? Ken, were you here back then? Did he resign as just Speaker, or did he resign his House seat?
He just resigned as Speaker.
I got it. So then the scandal surrounding his behavior made it difficult for him to find work exterior to his role as a representative of the people. And so this led to Cassida Cothran and former Representative Robin Smith to create a company called the Phoenix Solutions Group that was then used to funnel money from political campaigns to themselves for use in mailers and whatnot. And that's where it was argued by the federal government that they misrepresented themselves and they misrepresented the work product that they were doing. Honest services fraud, that phrase came into being. And you can argue whether honest services fraud is too broad of a category, but you cannot argue that Cassida and Cothran were guilty of what they were charged with, hence the guilty verdict by a jury of their peers, most of which was predicated on Robin Smith's testimony in this regard. Well, Robin Smith, for her trouble, got only 8 months in a prison sentence that she has yet to serve. She is scheduled to report in January. So we talked to Ben Rose, the attorney for Robin Smith, and obviously Ben Rose, his job as attorney is to represent his client, and he feels like, look, he's not making a judgment. He told us this. He's not making a judgment on whether or not these pardons should have happened. He's making a judgment on the idea that they happened to Cothran and Cassida, but not to Robin Smith, and it doesn't feel right to anyone. I don't like this at all, and there's nothing wrong with Trump supporters saying that. Donald Trump is not infallible. And Donald Trump is somewhat, especially in this regard, dependent on the people around him. And I have no idea what powerful political people managed to say to the president or who managed to get to the president, but somebody did. For me, the rule of law should remain the same for everyone. Secondarily, I would suggest that individuals who are called to serve the public ought to be held to certainly the same standard, if not a higher standard. And these people apparently weren't. And they deserved what they got. So Cassida was convicted of 17 counts of fraud, bribery, theft, conspiracy, money laundering in May of 2025, earlier this year, sentenced to 3 years in federal prison in September of this year. And obviously, Donald Trump has now granted a full pardon for his federal convictions. Something that I disagree with. It is impossible for me, without sounding like a hypocrite, to argue that Joe Biden pardoned too many people, that Joe Biden did not know the people he was pardoning, if I am not to criticize the president of the United States now, Donald Trump, when he does the same thing. And when you pardon, Bitcoin guy and you don't know who he is, or you pardon Cassidy, I would argue that Donald Trump does not know who Cassidy is. I would argue that he doesn't know who Cade Cothran is. And just because they're on Team Republican should not give them any sort of special audience with the president of the United States. This is, in the grand scheme of things, a small thing. There are many other important matters to discuss, getting the government back open. And I am proud to note that the Republicans have not fallen for the trap that was set by Chuck Schumer and the Democrats today by allowing for another year of the failure of Obamacare to continue in the form of government subsidy, taxpayer-funded subsidy. Good. The Democrats created this crisis. The Democrats can fix it by voting us the continuing resolution and to get ourselves out of it. Larry's in Clarksville, and he joins us next on the Matt Murphy Show. Hello, Larry.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for taking my call. And first of all, and I have been a Trump supporter since way back when. I mean, first, I liked, the dude from Texas, the senator from Texas. I can't even remember his damn name now.
Theodore Cruz.
No. Now he's got a beard and he's always on all the news.
No, it really is. His first name is Theodore. It's Ted Cruz, but his first name is Theodore.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I think.
But this is absolutely wrong. This was absolutely wrong for the president to pardon these two who were indicted by a grand jury and then found guilty by a jury of their peers. I want to know, Matt, who brought this to Trump's desk and said, hey, you need to pardon these guys. That's what I want to know. And and listen, I was here when all that crap was going on. I was here when all the text messages were going on, all that got divulged. And then I was here when all this other crap came out. They were found guilty. I don't give a flying rat's rear end what letter you have behind your name. You need to be held accountable.
Two things, Larry. One, I was wrong. His name is Rafael Edward Cruz, a.k.a. Ted Cruz. I guessed on the Theodore. Number two, I would like to know the same thing. I understand that if you're Glenn Cassida, you are well connected in the state of Tennessee. I would like to see how those connections extended. I don't know who he's friends with, right? But someone got to the White House. I would suggest that Donald Trump did not come up with this on his own. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm hard-pressed to believe that Donald Trump got up this morning and thought, oh, who can I pardon today? Let's find somebody from the state of Tennessee. Let's search someone that has been, unjustly convicted. So someone brought this to his desk, and someone convinced him that it was a worthy pardon, and it's not. When you break the law, when you violate the trust of the people, particularly if you're a politician, you need to be held to account, especially if you hold yourself up to that higher standard as a Republican. We need to monitor and take care of our own sins. I say ours. I'm not a Republican, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes. Well, I have one more question for you. And this is just speculation. I'm just wondering. Do you think it could have been Andy Ogles that did this?
Say it again, Larry. I missed that.
Do you think it could have been Andy Ogles that did this?
I don't know, because I don't know where those connections are. And those that have been in the state and following politics longer than me perhaps do. I mean, I don't know who Glenn Cassida aligned himself with. Obviously, Glenn Cassida was a faction. I don't know who his allies were in the State House. Was it? I mean, I could throw out names, but I'm hesitant to do that because I don't want to associate these names together if they are not to be associated. I mean, who did Glenn Cassiter run with? I don't know. I don't know who that. I don't know that answer.
But I also heard today that it could have been John Rich, and I hope the hell that it's not, because if, as much as I appreciate everything that John Rich has done especially for Cheatham County, and I hope you find a place in Cheatham County, dude.
Apparently the Nashville, but apparently the Nashville Banner has credited John Rich for getting the pardon to Donald Trump's office. I don't know. I like John. John's a friend of the show. I have no idea why John would publicly call for the pardon of these two individuals. If they violated the public trust, if you think that they got too much time, that's one thing. That's fine and well and good. If you think that it was an overcharge, that's equally fine and well and good. But this idea of exonerating them for the crimes committed, I mean, that's just ridiculous. And if it is John Rich, then John and I will have to in a friendly fashion, disagree on this point.
Well, and I will. I mean, if it turns, and I hope the heck that it's not, because I really do appreciate John Rich and everything that he's done. Okay, but if it does come out that he did do this, then that's just kind of going to place a shadow over him for me from now on. I mean, it just is. But listen, I love you, brother. I love Brother Ken.
Well, he loves you too. Love your brother Larry.
Well, Action Jackson is the best, by the way.
Well, let's not get crazy.
Thank you. Finally, somebody appreciates me.
Larry, the storm seems to be affecting our connection. Unfortunately, we'll have to let you go. That's too bad. I'm sure you had many other great things to say about Jackson Williams. Sadly, the connection was interrupted. What? I can't let you get full of yourself, man. Got to temper these accolades.
Hey, Ken, you want to see something funny?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're late for the news. We'll be right back. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's not even time for the news, Jackson.